And actually, the government is only one of the things that doesn't work in this country. There's quite a lot of other things that don't work, including Heathrow Airport. I'm looking at pictures in the Daily Mail today. Passengers lugging suitcases along a main road trying to get into Heathrow after abandoning their cars, basically, because the tunnel that takes you through, you know, from that famous place where the Concorde, the model, used to be. It's now, I think, an Emirates plane. That tunnel that takes you through to, like, Terminals 2 and 3 was shut for hours. And it was chaos, apparently. It's apparently been fixed by today. But let's talk to Simon Calder, our man on the spot, travel correspondent at The Independent, of course. Simon, very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Exactly as you say, chaos. Now, for people who aren't entirely familiar with the layout of Heathrow, there are 4 terminals, numbered 2, 3, 4 and 5, and this led to the central area, terminals 2 and 3. So all the really big airlines flying in and out of there, people like Virgin Atlantic, Delta, United, Emirates, Singapore Airlines, loads of them, and of course normally would be handling up to 100,000 people. But the tunnel closed, I understand, because of a failure in smoke detection software, and that simply unraveled everything. What you would normally do at this stage is go send everybody to Terminal 5 and put them on the Elizabeth line, the line which runs into Terminal 2 and 3, but that closed down because of overcrowding. So rather than laying on more trains, they actually took trains away. So it's all down to the Piccadilly line. And as a result, we had scenes exactly as you described, people desperate to get away on their holidays. Also staff. I mean, I've been hearing from one member of cabin crew here. It was absolute chaos. Half our crew were late. Pilots were late, caterers were late, and they were about an hour or so behind schedule as a result of this. And the airport, meanwhile, and this was perhaps quite telling, I said to them, right, okay, what exactly happened? When did it start? When did it end? We think now about 4 hours. How many passengers missed flights? And when did the tunnel last close? And the airport said to me, a technical issue caused the closure of the main road tunnel into Terminals 2 and 3. This issue is now resolved and the tunnel is open. Heathrow is operating as normal. Nothing to see here then, is their line. But
was our friend from Denmark asleep at the wheel again, or was he being kept informed at every moment? Now, who knows?
I'm sure he was being kept informed, but of course this comes just a week or so after we saw the shutdown. Nothing to do with Heathrow on this occasion, but NATS, the Air Traffic Control Service, they had a software problem as well, and that resulted in over 100 flights being grounded and many people missing their holidays. So wherever you want to go, it's probably not a good idea to start from here, Mike.
So, I mean, for people who are travelling today, will they get to Heathrow and everything will appear to be normal? Will there still be knock-on effects or what?
Well, yeah, there will be, because there were lots and lots of delays, and I did ask, how many flights were delayed. There will be typically, if you were an hour or two delayed going out, that's going to hold things up coming back. That's going to lead to overcrowding in the skies, so slow things down. So you might pick up the odd half hour or 1 hour delay, but actually these days that's not too bad, unless you're going to somewhere like Singapore. And I saw that the Singapore Airlines flight out yesterday lunchtime was, I think, over 2 hours late. That's going to slightly scupper your connections to lovely parts of Southeast Asia or Australia.
Right, that is the problem, isn't it? And why was the Elizabeth line so overcrowded? Because people presumably weren't getting on it out at the airport, were they, or were they? Or
another odd thing is that the main link between Terminal 2 and Terminal 3 is the Elizabeth line and the Heathrow Express. They use the same tracks, and because too many people were doing the smart thing, going to Terminal 5 in order to get the train to Terminal 2 and 3, the Transport for London just said, oh, well, too many people, let's shut the thing down, rather than we really need to lay on extra trains and let's put a couple of shuttles in just going between Terminal 5 and Terminal 2 and 3. Didn't happen. Lots and lots of upset and stress and all those things that you don't need. Yeah. And of course, for an awful lot of people coming into the UK, their first sight of Britain, as they come in either to be on holiday or to conduct business or whatever, is a total shutdown of the transport system.
Yeah, a friend of mine
can't get out.
A friend of mine came back from France yesterday, and I said, "Why did you bother? You know, you should have stayed where you were." Let me ask you about this story. This is a bit weird. Glenn Fogle, a bloke who runs Booking.com, you know, very famous sort of, you know, large travel site, says that, you know, because there's so many people wanting to go on holiday, they might want to introduce some kind of lottery system so you could kind of bid for a holiday, but you wouldn't necessarily get it.
Yes, I've been looking at what he's been saying, and just to put things in perspective, Mike, Booking.com isn't just a large travel company. It is by far the richest travel company in the world. It's got a market capitalisation of £100 billion,
wow,
which I think is more than you earn in a year, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, unfortunately, I've given them some of my money as well, because I do use Booking.com, I have to say.
Well, yes, lots of people do. Personally, I prefer not to use a company which is taking typically 15% out of every transaction.
Is that what they do? Well, maybe I'll change my business then.
Yeah, they've got very, very good software, but that's what they do. Okay. Anyway, so he basically just says, yeah, over-tourism is a problem. It's not for us to say, OK, people, you can't come to London, you've got to go to Birmingham instead. And he stresses that Birmingham is a very nice place, but it's not necessarily it's not necessarily a dream destination for everybody. So he says that you can put up prices, as they've been doing, for instance, in Venice, or you can have a lottery system to just have a raffle to see who can travel to London or Venice or Amsterdam or Barcelona.
That's mad, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's a bit sort of, sorry to use the phrase, one in, one out, I think. But interesting that he is talking about that. He also thinks that we've reached peak Airbnb, because of course the great rival of Booking.com is Airbnb, where you go and stay in somebody's house.
Yes. Well, Airbnb seems to work quite well. I don't use it myself because I don't really like staying in other people's houses unless they've actually invited me, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, this is the trouble, isn't it? Where you get these kind of wokists going, oh, you know, we don't want you to go to Venice because you might ruin it. Well, if people stop going to Venice, like the Spanish situation, you know, people start complaining in Mallorca about the tourists, so pretty soon they have no economy because the tourists don't go anymore.
Oh, certainly, yeah. And look, almost everybody thinks that inbound tourism is the best thing you can possibly have. It's the closest you will ever get to free money, because people come in, they spend money, they create jobs, they help fund amenities that a community on its own wouldn't be able to afford. Right. They pay tax. So from almost all points of view, inbound tourism is a great thing.
It is, absolutely right. And it broadens the mind, as we all know. Simon, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Travel correspondent for The Independent, travel guru.